that the vetoes were Zelnaga and Belshir Beach. So those are the maps that we won't be seeing. That means Crevasse is still fair game. Players are ready. Countdown has begun. Game number 2 on Antiga Shipyard. Thorzain versus Sen.
And I hope we're going to see a longer game than the Metalopolis, because one of the best games that I've seen in this entire tournament was Thorzain against Moro on Shadow Temple, and that late game army control of Thorzain, the way that he positioned his tanks, his ghost control, everything was just insane, and it was such a pleasure to watch. And I really hope we're going to see a game like that right now against Sen. Quite funny as well. Never mind.
What?
I was
how do you start with quite funny as well?
Never
just
mind.
Be like, never mind. Okay. All right.
No kiss and tell.
We'll never know.
No kiss and tell.
The punchline of that joke, guys.
It wasn't a joke.
So up here at the 12 o'clock position, we do have the blue Zerg player, Gamma Bears Sen. And his opponent down here at 6 o'clock, representing Team Mouse Sports, the red Terran player, Thorzain. Now, I kind of like that Thorzain tried to cheese it up on Metalopolis. It's in a best of 7, you have to mix up your play a little bit, and he came out and tried to set a very aggressive pace. It didn't work out for him. But
as aggressive as he run down the red carpet.
Yeah, man. He's run to my booth so I can proxy racks. But
no time to waste.
But he's, in spite of that, he still has his solid macro play to fall back on, and he macros as well as any Terran in the business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought that was really funny. I've never seen someone so eager to proxy Rex. Now we know. Next time, if he does it next season, we know what to expect in game 1.
Yeah, that's Thorzain's tell. If you're ever playing poker with Thorzain and he runs back to the table really fast, all in. So, no, we do have a gas opening here for Thorzain, so very possibly going to see some sort of a Hellion opening. We got the hatch first going up for Sen, and he's waiting a long time to get his spawning pool down. 17 drones out and still no pool. This is Sen saying, I'm not too worried about anything you could do, Thorzain.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Certainly when a player just cheats in game 1, normally would be at least a little bit worried if someone would try to proxy Rex or proxy gate you, but Sen not worried at all, just playing it as safe as possible, basically. He didn't even use like a super active drone scout, just kind of went with the idea that Thorzain is going to play a normal game right now, and by the looks of it, that seems to be the case.
Stealing the gas and the natural, that's his slightly unorthodox move there by Sen. Just trying to keep that drone alive, of course. Factory is going down in Thorzain's main base, so I would wager we will certainly see some Hellions out of him. Gas being mined by Sen, so Ling speed probably going to be coming up. I really am curious. Okay, there's the cancel. Oh, rebuilding.
Yeah,
Sen really wants to deny this gas for as long as possible.
No, I mean, there's not really much else he could have done with his drone. It was behind the marine already, so he would never be able to escape. He wouldn't be able to enter the main base, so I don't know. He just wants to see what's going on. He just wants to see how many marines
Thorzain
produces.
One thing that you do achieve with this, drone tries to get away. By having those marines attacking the extractor, you know, hey, they're not attacking me. So it's not a critical scouting maneuver, but Sen saw those 2 Marines, and now he knows, okay, if I see a bunker going up at the edge of my creep, for example, I don't have to panic.
Nope.
Because there's not a bunch of Marines right there with it.
Yep, for 12 minerals, he actually got a lot of information, so definitely worth it. And otherwise, the drone would have died straight away. We do see Thorzain switching up that barracks right now with this factory, producing 2 Hellions straight away. And, well, normally I would make predictions 4 to 6 Hellions, but watching Thorzain this tournament, I'm not sure, but...
The man is impossible to predict. We've got the tech lab going down on the barracks. I love this move. It just means he's going to be extra safe in the event of something like a big roach bust from Sen, something that Sen is prone to do. So I would imagine that Thorzain is just taking extra precautions in the event of that. Command center finishing up as well for Thorzain.
Yep, CC is almost ready. He's probably going to upgrade it to orbital before he's going to float it over, since he doesn't even have that many SCVs yet. He might actually produce a couple of SCVs while it's still sending there as well. In the production tab, we see Sen producing a ton of drones. He doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with the Hellions. He does have 1 Sprine Crawler and 1 Queen. That will be enough for 2 Hellions, but...
Yep.
Thorzain actually not producing any Hellions right now.
Yep, just going to get a couple out for map control. And this is really common in the metagame these days. Look at this fast third command center from Thorzain. This is going to give him so much in the way of mineral income. He's going to be able to drop a ton of mules. Probably not going to take a fast third base. Just going to use this for SCV production and of course, for the mules and even for a little bit of extra scan energy.
And then it makes, of course, a lot of sense as well that he stops producing Hellions at 4 Hellions, because once again, all he wants to do is keep sending his base for right now, at least for a little while, and try to deny creep, of course, try to deny vision, and well, meanwhile, his economy is going to be at least as good as the one of Sen. Despite not really killing any drones with the Hellions, those mules will definitely make up for that.
Yes, sir. Sen has got some pretty cute building placement here. See the Evo chamber blocking any sort of run by behind the mineral lines. Queens plugging up gaps near the gases, and that spine crawler making those Hellions think twice about really committing to some harass on that natural. So very, very nice building placement from Sen, keeping him nice and safe. Spine crawler just going to inch forward a little bit. Oh, and now the Hellions are going to run past. But I guess realizing perhaps upon seeing those Zerglings that maybe they did not want to commit there.
Exactly, a few Zerglings and those 2 Queens as well, they would have helped out quite a bit. Only 4 areas. If he had 6, then he would have probably gone for it. But with 4, well, they're just a little too vulnerable. Overlord hanging in over here in the right bottom side of this map did manage to spot this base right now from Thorzain. So Sen is aware of the fact that Thorzain has an expand. He's not aware of the other orbital command yet.
No. And Thorzain going to go double eBay. Sen's already on double Evo chamber, so we're going to have a lot of upgrades coming out of our Zerg player. I like this kind of a playstyle. This transitions really nicely into Infesterling or Roach Zergling Infester, which are things that we've seen Sen use a lot in the past.
Thorzain not being super active right there with his Hellions, and he did not actually see that drone going out over here. Sen will be able to morph that drone into an hatchery, so his third base is well on its way. And well, I think Thorzain should have tried to delay that a little bit longer, because right now Sen is, well, up 12 drones, which is not all that much, certainly not considering the fact that Thorzain is already at 3 CCs, but every second counts.
Yep. A little bit of a push coming here for Thorzain. Stim just finishing up, so he's going to
look at the production tab. Just so many drones morphing in for Sen right now.
This could actually be a really, really big problem. Thorzain going to check and see this third base, and he can probably force a cancel on it. Sen only able to make 4 Zerglings right now. Doesn't even have a Baneling nest.
No, Baneling nest is just halfway done. He does have 2 evolution chambers, as you pointed out, so he's getting a lot of upgrades. He just doesn't really have all that many units. Here comes the scan, the so annoying scan for Zergs, losing all those creep tumors they worked so hard for. Overlord falls as well. No cancel yet on this base, though.
Yeah, interestingly, Thorzain's just going to turn around. So
he did scout it.
Yeah, scouting the base, deciding that he doesn't want to press his luck.
If you only know what we know, man.
Yeah, you know, I can understand why he doesn't want to risk losing his whole army, but he doesn't know how much tech Sen has. He doesn't know that Sen was going all the way up to 65 drones before making a single unit.
Indeed. We had a Zergling over here on the right side of the map from Sen, but those 2 Marines did manage to take it out. Thorzain CC or OC is still not floating. I guess he's going to float it over right now. Yeah, there we go. So Thorzain slowly but steady going to try to secure his turret as well. He's already building missile turrets quite early, considering the fact the Spire just, well, basically started.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 10 minutes into the game. That's a timing that a lot of Terrans can kind of fall back on. 10 minutes is when mutas can start hitting the map. A few roaches poking through the center here, going to chase these Hellions away. Sen, man, he's going to be playing. Well, I guess it's just going to be Mutaling Bane. He opens up roaches and then transitions into the mutas. So makes a little bit of sense. He's not got a whole lot of gas, but he's got a few more minutes before that Spire finishes up.
He's going to be at 82 drones after this cycle of drones, and that's really a lot for this phase of the game. Sen has been doing a fantastic job just running up, despite some Hellions, despite some pressure, even with those, with the Marines and the tank in the middle of the map. He still managed to just make a minimum amount of units and still try to get as many drones as possible. 82 drones, man. That's a lot.
And I love how aggressively Sen has been getting these upgrades. He's going to have 2/2 on those Zerglings, and that is going to make the Mutaling force so much more scary. It's very, very common for Zerg players to actually skip ground upgrades in favor of getting more mutas out, and I think that's a mistake, quite frankly. When you have Lings with 2/2, oh man, they stay alive so much longer than unupgraded Lings against Stim Marines.
No, upgrades, of course, very, very important. But Thorzain is on double engineering bay as well, and we see +2 attack and +2 armor as well on its way, so he's definitely not going to fall behind on the upgrades. We see right now 10 Mutalisks at once on the way for Sen, but Thorzain already has a couple of Marines positioned at his turret. He has some missile turrets, I thought at least. Well, in his main base he has. He doesn't have anything in his natural, but...
+1 vehicle attacks coming also for Thorzain. That's a really important upgrade because it means your tanks will always one-shot Zerglings. Of course, unupgraded siege tanks take 2 shots to kill lings that have +1 armor. So kind of...
yeah, very important.
Yeah. Lings live so much longer against unupgraded tanks than they do against tanks that have that +1 attack.
Like the Zealot +1. Nice contaminate use right there on the barracks with the reactor, even though Thorzain has more than enough barracks. So it's not a really big problem. Not sure if Thorzain scouted the Mutalisk yet, but if he didn't, then he's going to see them. Yep.
A couple of Marines falling down to those mutas. Will Thorzain reposition himself? He's got a Thor that's about to pop out, and that's probably going to be more than enough to deter these initial mutas from Sen.
Yep, Sen does manage to pick off 1 supply depot though, so every minor victory is a victory.
Certainly, man. StarCraft 2, a game of inches. If you can gain enough of them, you can find yourself well ahead.
Thorzain has a sick amount of SCVs right now as well, 77, and well, basically his economy looks super healthy, so I think he's going to be able to produce whatever army he's aiming for. Sen managed to somehow get a couple of additional drones, 85 drones against 80 SCVs. Seems like Thorzain is pretty much done right now with producing SCVs, and I guess he's just going to get that nice mix between bio and mech.
Both these guys are maxing out at around the same time. I'm really impressed with Thorzain's macro. Just playing a very, very passive style, not really applying any pressure to Sen beyond that first, I guess, fake push. And at the same time, Sen doing a very nice job as well. He's just expanded all over the place. He's got lots of upgrades. He's rounding out his tech. Hive is going to be done in just a few seconds. So it's going to be a big late-game clash like you talked about in the beginning of this map.
Yeah, even though we have no Ghost right now. Ghost Academy is actually on the way. Thorzain just started to build it. We have this Mutalisk floating around, flying around basically, or cruising around the main base of Thorzain. You're going to have to be careful because there are a couple of Thors left and right. There are quite a few Marines as well. Let's take a look at the Mutalisk count, 16. Well, that's scary, but also not that scary. Oh, Thorzain's going to have to be careful. He's not sieging up yet.
Unsieged is Thorzain. These tanks do manage to siege it, but not before they get completely surrounded and every tank melting away. The Marines expertly controlled by Thorzain, though, and this push is still alive.
Yep, the push is definitely still alive. We have so many Marines for Thorzain, and that's actually quite scary for Sen. Sen, who doesn't really have all that many banelings. He has quite a few, and that might be scary enough.
Yeah, Thorzain critically only has a couple of medevacs.
8 banelings.
Oh man, here comes Sen one more time. Sen is already remaxed. Thorzain going to catch a few units in the middle of the map. These banelings on move command. Most of those banelings going to go ahead and die. And now Sen's kind of in an awkward spot with Marines on one side and mech and turrets on the other.
Well, I think Sen is losing a ton of units right now. Nice flank,
here comes the reinforcements. Lings coming from every side. And Thorzain will lose all of these Marines. Still, though, 150 supply to 150 supply. This command center in a little bit of an awkward position. But Thorzain, he's keeping up with that macro very well.
Yep, even though Sen is right now slowly but steady transitioning into those infestors, so it's going to be harder for Thorzain. He's going to have to be very careful. Sen has quite a bit of money banked up as well. Thorzain has a little bit, not all that much. I do see Mobius Reactor getting researched, so Thorzain is definitely preparing for a switch into Ghost.
Yeah, and we saw Thorzain's Ghost play yesterday. It was just ridiculous. Like, we were sitting backstage, like, how the hell do you beat this? Because his control is, it's near perfect. And well-controlled, well-positioned Ghost, when supplemented by a few siege tanks and a lot of Marines, it's tough to break, man. It's something that's virtually impossible to attack into.
Yep. Sometimes you'd rather avoid it.
Well, I mean, I think it really puts Zerg in a position where they have to use things like drops and nidus and multi-pronged aggression. You can't really engage that army heads up. It's kind of like fighting a big Protoss army, but harder.
Much harder, if you ask me. Sen right now taking control of the middle of the map once again. Thorzain kind of donating 5-6 Marines in process. He is actually dropping on the right top side of the map, though, I see on the mini-map. He will be able to get quite a few drones, where we do have spine crawlers, and we actually have an infestor over here as well with quite a bit of energy.
Yeah, infestor does come over and will land that nice fungal, so all these Marines do get cleaned up. Only a few drones going down there, so probably not the most successful drop ever. But the important thing about this drop play is that it forces the Zerg army to reposition, which means it gives Thorzain time to secure this expansion.
And this is actually kind of awkward right now, because Thorzain does have this high-yield mineral base, but he actually does not have control of the Selnaga watchtower. So he has absolutely no idea what's going on. Might as well expect on the other side. He's going to try it once again, but straight away, every time he tries, Sen is going to move into the middle of the map with either Zerglings or infestors, or both.
And Sen is setting up a bit of an engagement here. Doesn't want to commit to that just yet. Does Sen know that the gold base has been taken? He does. So I guess he's going to be content to sit back and be passive. We got some Ultralists coming out for Sen. A few more Marines getting donated there. 182 supply for Thorzain to the 198 supply of Sen. I think it's really curious that Sen has opted to go Ultra here.
Well, both of these guys are playing so passive actually throughout the entire game. Thorzain made one little fake push. Other than that, they just have an insanely good economy, and well, one or two pushes happened, but other than